Hello, so today I'm not doing VGC, but not doing anything like that, but it is Pokemon related, so I hope you do enjoy it just as much. What I'm actually doing is a rundown of my team and ideas I have for it, to switch some moves out, perfect it. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. The first Pokemon we have is Salamence, or to be more precise, Mega Salamence, which is without a doubt one of the best Megas in the format, because of its ability to aerialate. I think it's better than Mega Kangaskhan because of that. Salamence never really had much good flying stab, but this ability gives it monstrous flying stab in things like Return and Double. Now, so of course my Salamence has the Salamence Sight for its item, and has the Intimidate ability, which lowers attack of all opponents' Pokemon, which is very good with the high amount of physical attackers. So non-Mega, we have Intimidate. Mega, we have all caps is on, sorry. We have Aerially, even though it says it's illegal. We're going to click that anyway. So anyway, the moves we have here is a Dragon Dance set with Return, Protect, Dragon Dance, and Steel Wing. And sorry if you can hear my family in the background. My grandmother's on the phone, and my grandfather's in one of the rooms doing something. But yeah, so what we have is the double-edged set, like I said. And in a double-edged set, a Dragon Dance set. Getting a bit of lag, hold on. Okay, there we go. I don't know what happened, but in a Dragon Dance set, you normally don't want to run Double Edge, which is almost always the preferred move for Mega Salamence, because of its just raw base 120 power, even if it has recoil. But since we're getting a 0.5 damage boost anyway, we want to be running Return, so we don't have to take recoil, but we still have brute force. And then of course Protect, so we can safely Mega Evolve and get the speed boost, get all of that done, so we can just be stronger and not really have to worry about too much. Plus, having an opponent waste a turn is always helpful, especially with Mega Salamence, where you have to double in sometimes, because of how much of a threat it is. And then, of course, the Dragon Dance move in the Dragon Dance set, because what would be a Dragon Dance set without Dragon Dance, right? So, raises the attack and speed of the user by 1. So we get a speed boost and an attack boost. So after this, with a base 120 speed at +1, we pretty much outspeed everything. So it's almighty, pretty much. That's all you can say about it, really. And then the move that I should have here is Dragon Claw, actually. Let me put that in. But as you can see, Dragon Claw is only base 80. It does give me another stab option, but with Return, so what happens with Aerialate is it gives you the stab boost, but then it also gives you a 0.35 boost on top of the stab. So we're looking at 1.95 damage. So almost everything is going to pretty much be a super effective hit, which is just absolutely insane. So pretty much Dragon Claw is redundant, because we don't really need another super effective hit on the Dragon types when we have things like Milotic in the back here. So what I've been thinking of doing is, because of the amount of fairies, especially Sylveon, that are used to beat Salamence, I'm thinking of Steel Wing, which is a super effective hit on them, which is even better than Return, I think, in this case. I don't know. I haven't really played with Steel Wing yet. Seeing what I have to do things with, but it does beat Ice types and Steel type, and Fairy type, so really nice. I haven't tested it yet. I'm gonna check that out soon. And then for the set, simple 252, 252, 4 with a Jolly Nature to raise my speed and lower my special attack, which special attack, the stat I'm not using at all. So yeah, pretty average Salamence set. Aside from Steel Wing so far. Now, next is something that I don't believe I've seen anybody do, and I hate to sound like a bragger, but I did Rhyperior first. Before I started using Rhyperior, I used Rhyperior, and then after I started using Rhyperior, I saw a it was either a regionals or a nationals, where a bunch of people actually brought weakness policy to Rhyperior, and for good reason. So here's why I like Rhyperior. So I want you to take 5 seconds to look at these stats. Just these first 3 stats. You done looking? Now, are you done laughing at how unrealistically high these first 3 stats are? I mean, look at this. Base 115 defense, 140 attack, and 130 defense. Basically, no physical hit is going to ever one-hit KO a Rhyperior. It's just unreal. So what we're looking at after that is really low special attack stat. Okay, no, I'm not even gonna lie. Really terrible special defense, but Rhyperior does need something to slow it down a bit. Slow it down. See what I did? See what I did? Because it has terrible speed too. See what I did? But Rhyperior kind of needs a low special defense stat because it can already eat up basically every physical hit possible. So what I actually did here was 252 on the hit points, 252 on the attack with an adamant nature, and 4 on the defense. So basically, I'm trying to give as much damage output as possible. I'm giving the highest damage output possible, giving the highest hit points possible, which pretty much gives me even more unrealistic defensive power. So, and then I'm putting 40 of these into the defense instead of special defense for good reason. Because the item we have here is Assault Vest to help get rid of that weak special defense. So what Assault Vest does is it takes your special defense stat and raises it by 0.5, but it doesn't let you use status moves. Rhyperior, I wasn't planning on using status moves anyway, except maybe switching out Thunder Punch for Protect. So Assault Vest really only helped me. And then, to help it become even more of a monster, it has the ability Solid Rock. So, what this does is it gives your Pokemon takes 3/4 less damage from super effective attacks, pretty much effectively cutting their power down to 75%. So let's say that a Conkeldurr used Drain Punch. It would only be doing 75% of the damage that it normally would, because of this Solid Rock ability. And then if you take that and stack it on top of the HP and the defense stat, you're taking no damage, pretty much. You're almost always a 2-hit KO. Now, the bad thing about Rhyperior, though, is its typing. Rock and Ground is probably one of the best offensive typings you could want to have in VGC. You get Stab Rock Slide and Stab Earthquake, not to mention a bunch of other good moves, and Rhyperior, trust me, has a very wide move pool. It's basically Landorus T with Stab Rock Slide, but slow, without Intimidate. It's not Lando T. But the bad thing is, it's not the best defensive typing, as you have 2 4x weaknesses in Grass and Water. We will get to how I try finding ways around that later when we get to Ninetales here. But the moveset we actually have is Rock Slide, just for good stab, hits both opponents. Earthquake, good stab, hits both, really good stab, 100% chance to hit, unlike Rock Slide, which has a 10% chance to miss, and lower power, but Earthquake has 100 power and 100% accuracy. But it does hit all Pokemon, which is why I have 2 flying types, and where I did have Road and Wash before. Another move we have here is Ice Punch to help cover those Pokemon with 4x flying weaknesses like Salamence and Landorus Therian. Because, if you're Aaron Zeng, I guess, then you want to cover Landorus Incarnate. But it really does help. Ice Punch, Ice Type, you almost always have to have an Ice Type move on your team, whether it be Ice Punch, Ice Beam. Preferably, you want to have Ice Beam and HP Ice, because they typically do less damage. They typically help more, because most of the ones that are 4x weak to Ice all have Intimidate, Landorus Therian, Mega Salamence. And then Thunder Punch for any water types I'm encountering. I am playing around with Thunder Punch, thinking of switching it out for Crunch or something like that, and seeing what I can do about it. I don't really know what I want to replace it with yet, because Thunder Punch it's the same power as Ice Punch, so there's literally no reason to use it over that, other than the fact that, like, I want to paralyze it or something, I don't know. But Thunder Punch, it's just sort of a filler move, but it has its clutch moments. It just hasn't been doing its thing. I will get back to you if I manage to think of a better move. Might run like Hammer Arm or something, since it already has low speed. I'm not too sure yet, but I'll figure something out about it. So yeah, that's pretty much my Rhyperior. Boosting special defense. Usually, if you see a Rhyperior, don't think of my set. Do not. You'll see Rock Slide, you'll see Earthquake, you'll almost always see Ice Punch, and then some sort of other move, like maybe Protect. But trust me, I very, very highly doubt you will ever see another Assault Vest Rhyperior. Most of them run Weakness Policy since they understand that they're basically a 2-hit KO, or something you'll have to double into. Sometimes even a 3-hit KO on super effective moves, which is really insane. So next Pokemon here is somebody you probably all know and love just as much as Salamence in Mega Kangaskhan, Aegislash himself. So for those of you who don't know, but I doubt you're watching a competitive video without understanding this, Aegislash is a monster. And why is it a monster? Oh, look at that, it has base 150 defense and special defense stat. But why are you running Modest with the base 50 special attack? That is because of its ability stance change and move King's Shield if it would. I don't know what is wrong with this, but anyway, it's because of the ability stance change, signature to Aegislash. So let's say I'm in shield mode here, and then I use Shadow Ball. That will change me into a Blade form, switching my defense and special defense stats for my attack and special attack stats, bringing my attack and special attack to base 150, bringing my defenses to base 50. So I become really frail but unrealistically powerful. And then King's Shield is a move that switches Aegislash back into its shield form from its blade form, giving you back the monster's defenses. So it's pretty much what King's Shield is pretty much Protect that does not block status moves. Like, if you King's Shield, they can still taunt you, they can still Will-O-Wisp you, they can still Thunder Wave you, they can still do all of that. But if they make contact moves like Knockoff, then it lowers their attack by 2 stages, which is just nightmarish. And that's when people realized that Aegislash was good, when they saw that move and that ability. So most players will choose to run Leftovers or Weakness Policy on Aegislash. Well, it's really Leftovers, Weakness Policy, Life Orb. Leftovers has apparently lost popularity since 2014, because now Life Orb is bigger in the format, I feel, even though it was always big, but people are starting to use it more so on Aegislash. So what most people will do is eat up hits, because Aegislash has a terrible speed stat, so you want to just be a tank. You want to underspeed everything, attack, switch into blade form when you attack, and then King Shield the very next turn so you can go back into shield mode and attack the turn after that. But if you try and make plays with Aegislash and predict, like, oh, they're not going to try and go for knockoff because they don't want to get their attack dropped by King's Shield, then you can stay in blade form and attack and play mind games with Aegislash. It's a very, very hit or miss Pokemon that it either makes the game or breaks the game the majority of the time. Aegislash is always a threat and should never be taken lightly in any situation, even if you have 6 things that beat it. So like I said before, I am running the Leftovers item, which restores 1/16 of your max HP, and when you're pretty much going to be protecting every other turn, it's very helpful. The next move, well, the ability, of course, has to be stance change. Aegislash has no other abilities. So, the 2 moves we have in this set are Shadow Ball and Flash Cannon. With Aegislash being a Ghost and Steel type, incredible typing, you get stab on both of these. Now, you may be thinking Shadow Ball and the Flash Cannon have the same power. As you can see, base 80 power Flash Cannon, base 80 power Shadow Ball, but Shadow Ball has a 20% chance to lower their special defense by 1, while Flash Cannon only has a 10% chance. So why use Flash Cannon? Extra stab, it gives you more coverage. So this is really just a basic Aegis Slash set, not too much to say. King Shield, of course, you have to have King Shield on an Aegis Slash, or else you might as well just use Dew Blade or something. And then, really the last two moves here you can have are Substitute and the Wide Guard. So, I choose to run Substitute because sometimes your opponent doesn't want to attack Aegis Slash on that first turn, and if you have two things that have a nice chance of beating you, you can normally set up a Substitute on that first turn, and they'll be thinking, oh, I can just take Aegis Slash out next turn, he doesn't threaten them. And then you'll have a Substitute set up, and then they'll have to double into you if they have any chance of getting rid of it. So they'll attack you, maybe break the sub, then they'll attack you again, and then while your other Pokemon on the field, Aegis Slash will take damage, of course, but you'll still be dishing out a whole lot too, and you won't be taking 2 hits and having the chance of getting knocked out. So while that's happening, while they're doubling into you, your other teammate, like especially Mega Salamence and Kangaskhan, mostly the Megas, are going to be just destroying the rest of their team while they're stuck having to deal with Aegis Slash's Substitute. Now, the other option here is Wide Guard, but I choose to run Substitute. Wide Guard, though, is good because since spread moves are so common in VGC, oops, my bad. Since spread moves are so common in VGC, you normally want to have some sort of protection against that, to where one Pokemon can protect you. But what I don't like about Wide Guard on Aegis Slash is that you can't King Shield right after, because you can spam Wide Guard and Quick Guard as much as you want, and their chance of failing will never increase. You will always have a 100% chance of getting off a Wide Guard or Quick Guard. But it lowers your chance to have Protect and King Shield work. Just like you can't spam Protect, you can't spam King Shield. So, and Wide Guard drops that chance of it working. So, like, say you want a Wide Guard, then you can't really King Shield after that. So that's also why I run Substitute. Another basic Aegis Slash spread. Oh, I have substituted. Go away. There we go. And so, basic Aegis Slash set, 252 on the hit points, 252 Modest Nature in the special attack, and it doesn't really matter where you put those last 4 EVs. You can put them in defense, special defense, doesn't really matter, it doesn't make a difference too much. Unless, you do extreme damage calcs, and you're like, if I have 4 EVs here, then I'll always survive this. And yeah, it kind of happens. But anyway, moving on to the next Pokemon. What we have here is Braviary. So, Braviary, I was shuffling through a lot of fighting types when I was thinking about, flying types when I was thinking of what to put on my team. Because obviously I have Rhyperior here who wants to Earthquake a lot, so I wanted at least 2 flying members other than Salamence and Braviary. So, what I actually chose to do was use Braviary for 2 reasons. 1, it gives me good flying coverage, and 2, I have look at this attack stat here. So, let me just say that first. Base 100 HP, with the okay defenses, it can be somewhat bulky, but not too much. Base 123 attack, not the best, there are stronger, but it's still really strong. And then the base 80 speed really keeps Braviary from putting in a lot of work. But so I just ran Adamant 252 for maximize the speed and HP. Maximize the speed and attack. But I actually ran Adamant because it's not really going to be outspeeding much anyway, other than a Togekiss. And that's not essential since I can't really OHKO him anyway. And sure, he'll just keep air slashing me, but whatever. It doesn't too much matter. But here's what's good about Braviary. So Defiant is the reason that Bisharp is so good. It's an ability that every time one of its stats is lowered by a foe, because I have many times tried to use Confide on my Bisharp and only had my special attack lowered and never had an attack raise. But my attack stat is raised by 2 for each stat lowered by a foe. So with the amount of Intimidate running around, so let's say I send out Braviary and they send out their Salamence. My Braviary will lose 1 stage of attack, but then gain 2, putting it at +1. So let's say there's a Milotic out on the field, and it uses Icy Wind. My speed stat will be lowered, but Defiant will activate and raise my attack by 2, putting me at +2 attack, which is also why I run Adamant. So it can just become a huge powerhouse and really repel certain Pokemon from coming out. It gives you a lot of field control and domination over your opponent, because that'll prevent them from bringing things in like Salamence and Landorus in certain cases. The item we have here, Life Orb, just to help boost that damage even more. So the moves I'm running is Return. You could run Double Edge here, but you have Brave Bird, and Double Edge is basically the normal type Return, because Braviary is normal flying, so we get Stab on both of them, and normal and flying pretty much have the same coverage anyway. So there's no need to run both of them, or else your moveset would be entirely recoil. So I'm using Return much like on Salamence, but on Mega Salamence, Return is a flying type move. On Braviary, it's a normal type move. So I get Stab from both of them too. Maximum Happiness, of course, you have to have for base 102 power move, boosted by Life Orb and potential. So it's a base 102 power move, boosted by Life Orb, with potential attack stat raises. Next move we have Brave Bird, pretty staple for all flying types. Talonflame, Staraptor, whatever person decides to use in Pheasant ever. No offense if you do. And then before I had my Milotic here, which I actually haven't used in actual ranked, I have Tailwind, which for 4 turns, our ally speed is double. So this base 100, okay, Mega Salamence has base 120, ignore the base 100, this doesn't exist, it's base 120. That base 120 speed stat is going to be boosted even further, times 2. So you pretty much use agility for all of your Pokemon for 4 turns. And that's also another reason why I ran Adamant, because I knew that if I managed to set up Tailwind, that it wouldn't really matter if I was running Adamant or Jolly, because I would still manage to outspeed multiple things anyway. So Tailwind, really good move. Nice to have speed control. You pretty much have to have speed control on every team in VGC. And then next move is Superpower, because I have no other fighting coverage on the team. Like, literally none. This is the only fighting type move I had. Because I put it in Showdown last, I believe. No, second to last. I had Rotom Wash come last. So I realized I didn't have fighting coverage, and then Rhyperior, I already had Rhyperior done in game, so I didn't really want to vary from that moveset or EV spread. So I just slapped Superpower on him. Base 120 move. It does lower your attack and defense by 1 stage afterwards, but if you're getting attack boosts, you can pretty much use Superpower safely, and all you'll have to worry about is the defense drop. So I guess there is a way to make Braviary into somewhat of a glass cannon, I guess, but it still has moderate bulk. I mean, if Station Park can make a Pachirisu bulky, Braviary can still be somewhat bulky, I guess. But, yeah, I guess it's somewhat basic of a set, having Life Orb Defiant. But yeah, Braviary's main job was as Intimidate Repellent. And he fits that job perfectly, as he can take out grass types, take out everything that's just threatening, and get rid of those 4 times super effective weak Pokemon, and just have fighting coverage for him, which is always good. So next in the list, we have Ninetales, still experimenting with him on the item. I just have Heat Rock here, just to see how that works. My team's still pretty much in beta, I guess I should say. Because before I had Choice Scarf Sunny Day, kind of like Choice Scarf Politoed, which is, I believe, what Alex Gloza ran. I'm mentioning so many good players. But I actually, on this Ninetales set, we have, of course, the ability Drought, which gives the Sunny Day effect. And Sunny Day is a move that sets up Sun for 5 turns. And in the Sun, all fire-type moves are boosted by 0.5, and all water-type move power is decreased by 0.5. So you're weakening water types and powering yourself up. And the reason that I have Ninetales here isn't just so it can operate on its own, it's for Rhyperior, actually. That's the Rhyperior is the entire reason I have Ninetales. And in-game, I actually, if you haven't seen anything about it, I actually have a shiny Ninetales that I use that I actually bred on accident, and it ended up having a timid nature and everything, which was really cool, and it had good IVs. But yeah, shiny Ninetales. It's beautiful. But anyway, what we have, of course, Drought ability. So, since Rhyperior has a 4 times weakness to water, and it has really low special defense, I figured I needed some sort of way to help eliminate the threat of fire, of grass types, and special water attacks. And Ninetales does this perfectly. So the sun weakens their power by 0.5, and then stacked alongside Solid Rock and Assault Vest, some water-type moves actually will not OHKO Rhyperior, which is insane. So then, since I still have a 4 times weakness to grass with Rhyperior, so Ninetales is also, of course, a fire type, and in the sun, with Stab, with a powerful move like Flamethrower or Heat Wave, you're pretty much going to be OHKOing just about every grass type. So I can switch Rhyperior out into like Salamence, Aegislash, Braviary, and then I can just Flamethrower the grass type slot, especially things like Amoonguss, which are still a huge threat because of Spore. So Heat Rock for now, not sure if I'm sticking with it. It extends the effect of Sunny Day and Drought to last 8 turns instead of the usual 5 turns that it would. So you're getting 3 extra turns on the sun, which can be really helpful, or really bad if you want to switch out and reset your sun for the rest of the game. But the moves we are running on Ninetales is I'm opting for Flamethrower over Heat Wave, only because Heat Wave has a 10% chance to miss, and I have had a game come down to me needing to land a Heat Wave and missed it so many times that I just kind of gave up on it. So it does bother me a bit. Flamethrower only hits one target, because Heat Wave hits both targets, but it has a chance to miss. So I opt for Flamethrower most of the time on almost every fire type over Heat Wave. Plus, with the amount of Heatran in the format, if they send out a Heatran, you wouldn't be able to use Heat Wave, because then it would sit there and get Flash Fire Boost and then sweep your team. And you never want to have something like that happen. So, obviously, if you see they have a Grass type and a Heatran, and you've seen their Heatran before, you know that they're probably going to switch that Grass type into the Heatran. So you know to maybe like switch out Ninetales and Earthquake with Rhyperior, or Flamethrower the other slot, Solar Beam the other slot, do whatever you need to. Another move that I have is Sunny Day, because of Weather Wars. So what happens in Weather Wars is, it's really just the Sunsetter, it's really just Charizard Y and Politoed. Politoed has an ability called called Rain Day. Give me a second. I know it. I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking it up. It is Drizzle. There we go. Got it. But it's pretty much the opposite of Drought, and it sets up the Rain Dance effect instead of the Sunset effect. And Rain lowers fire types attacks by 0.5, and lowers the damage and increases the damage of water type attacks by 0.5. So we really want to have that Sun up if we see a weather team, or to see Politoed in general, to shut down things like Sun teams. So what I actually have, so I don't have to switch out, because then he can just switch out and switch in his Politoed the next turn and get rid of my Sun, because Politoed is slower than Ninetales is in most cases, unless it's Choice Scarf Politoed. In which case, the weather goes based, much like Mega Evolution, weather goes based on speed. The faster Pokemon will always set up its weather first. So my Ninetales will set up Drought, and then since Politoed is slower the majority of the time, he will then set up his Rain, which is not good at all. So I have Sunny Day on this set alongside of Drought, so if they send out their Politoed onto my Ninetales, their rain is going to be set up, but I know that if my Sunny Day goes out first, that I'm faster and outspeed and don't have to worry about Choice Scarf. So then I can just go ahead and Sunny Day and then weaken his power, and he'll pretty much be forced to switch out, so he can reset the water. Next move we have is Extra Sensory, only because I didn't have Psychic coverage, and I already have okay special attack stat on him, so why not? Might run Zen Headbutt on Salamence, but I don't like that chance to miss. I don't like moves with chances to miss. I'm going to say that now. And then the next move we have is Solar Beam, which, as you can see here, has no charge in the sunlight. Because normally you would have to use Solar Beam, wait the first turn, and then on turn 2 you'll attack. And by that time they pretty much know who you're going for, and you're sitting yourself there not doing anything for one turn, making yourself a sitting duck. So with the Sun, since I'm already setting up Sun, this gives me coverage on Water-type Pokemon, so I can hit them for super effective damage, and it gives me a Grass-type option on my team. So Ninetales covers a lot of coverage on my team that I wouldn't have without him. Ninetales, I pretty much have to bring in every battle because of that, though. Very helpful, very useful at all the times, mostly for support with Rhyperior, but it can act on its own too. And then the last Pokemon, which I have not officially used yet, is Safety Goggles Milotic. Oh yeah, I did mention Heat Rock, okay. So Milotic has an ability similar to Braviary in its Defiant. So competitive it raises your special attack stat by 2 for each stat lowered by a foe. So instead of raising your attack by each stat lowered by a foe, it raises your special attack. So you don't even have to worry about Intimidate lowering your attack so you only get +1. So Milotic is unrealistically bulky if we take a look at the stats here. 95 hit points, 79 defense, and 125 special defense, which is really absurd. So what we're looking at here is Intimidate Repellent that's unrealistically bulky. And considering most mons that are really strong have Intimidate, it can only help. So the Safety Goggles item, what it does is the holder is immune to powder moves from and damage from sandstorm or hail. So this is good, not just to protect myself from things like Tyranitar, but because powder moves count as things like Spore and Rage Powder. So a Moongus can't touch me. Yes, it's a grass type, but it doesn't really matter too much. So I can send in Milotic, and I can't be spored, so I can't be put to sleep at all. I can't be sleep powdered by Venusaur. Rage Powder can't redirect from Volcarona or a Moongus. I'm just safe from all that type of stuff, and I also can't be hit by weather, which is also good because chip damage is really bad on a tanky Pokemon. So the moves we have here are more speed control, which is the reason I put on Milotic. I realize that Rhyperior is weak to Intimidate, so after Landorus Therian intimidates me, Ice Punch will not one-hit KO. And Ice Punch will not one-hit KO after an Intimidate, which means he can just go in, outspeed, Earthquake, I'll Ice Punch, he lives the Ice Punch, and then Earthquake again, and then Rhyperior is down. So I needed something that could take neutral damage from Earthquake and still give a 4-time super effective move to Salamence and Landorus, while still giving me speed control, and that is Icy Wind. 100% chance to lower not the speed's foe. What would that even mean? I guess like the enemy of speed is slow, I guess? I don't know. But it has a 100% chance to lower the foe's speed by 1. So pretty much every time you hit them, you're lowering their speed. Meaning that Salamence can outspeed things, Braviary can outspeed things easier, Ninetales can have easier outspeeds, and it's 4 times super effective, like I said, Landorus Therian, Mega Salamence. So it does have a 5% chance to miss, but it rarely ever happens, like I said, 5%. Like, it's so small. It does only have base 55 power, but what you're not looking for pure strength, in which case you should run Ice Beam. But Icy Wind is more so for speed control, because Ice Beam, one it KOs Salamence, one it KOs Landorus. Icy Wind, I believe, is a 2-hit KO on both of them, but I think after Icy Wind you may outspeed them and just Icy Wind again. I'm not too sure, so do not quote me on that one. Then next is Skull for stab, and it has a chance to burn the target. Plus, if you ever get hacked and frozen, then it can thaw you. That rarely ever happens, but it's just a nice little thing that I think doesn't get mentioned too often. Because, like, you've probably been frozen before and not been able to do anything. If you had Skull, then you could thaw yourself out. But it is a water-type move that has a 30% chance to burn, which not a lot of other moves have. And it's 100% accurate, unlike Will-O-Wisp. So it gives you a super effective move onto fire types and ground types, and it gives you stab. But it also gives you a chance to burn the opponent, which cuts their attack in half, which is really good. Don't get me wrong. So the next move I actually have is Safeguard, not something that's seen very often, and it's the point of Safeguard is to go along with Safety Goggles. So let's say I see something that I know is about to be spored. I switch into the Milotic in that slot. I don't go to sleep because of Safety Goggles, and then I safeguard that turn to protect the rest of my party from falling asleep, so I can bring in something that's a threat. So, because normally, like, Amoonguss would EV to survive Double Edge and Hyper Voice from Mega Salamence. So what actually happens is, so he's going to be like, oh, I see a Salamence on the field. I can go ahead and spore this and not have to worry about the main threat on the field. So then I go in and safeguard, and that pretty much nullifies what Amoonguss really wants to do other than redirection, and then I can just knock it out. Not to mention, it can protect most of my Pokemon from Will-O-Wisps and Thunder Waves, which can always be very helpful. And the next move is Recover, which gains 50% of your max health back. Pretty nice move. It's just for sustain in case I get a free turn. And the EVs here are actually the only ones where I specifically EV to do certain things. So the HP stat is maxed out just for maximum health, maximum hit points. I am running a Bold Nature, which increases your defense stat and lowers your attack stat. Milotic doesn't use attack stat at all, so we don't mind lowering that. But the Bold Nature is the Bold Nature with 60 EVs allows me to survive Adamant Mega Kangaskhan Double Edge. And if you can survive Adamant Mega Kangaskhan Double Edge, then you can also survive an Adamant Mega Salamence Double Edge. So it's really powerful, and your Mega Kangaskhan will pretty much never one-hit KO you unless it's a crit. And then the next EVs we have here, I'm actually not going to look at special attack yet because that's just leftover. We have 44 EVs in the special defense stat, and you might be thinking, well, what does a Milotic need to live with that? And what it actually does is, I have seen this many times before. The 44 EVs allows me to live a modest Thunderous Incarnate. No, it lets me live modest Life Orb Thunderous Max Special Attack Thunderous Incarnate Thunderbolt. So if I see a Thunderous, I know if I see a Thunderous Incarnate, I should say, I have nothing to fear. And considering that I can live a Life Orb modest Thunderous Incarnate, God, that's hard to say, then I can also live Thunderbolt from Rotom Wash. So 44 EVs there, and what I did with the rest of the EVs was just dumped it into special attack, so I could have a higher damage output. And nothing in the speed, because we have Icy Wind, so that's sort of our speed boost, I guess. And that is my Milotic, and that is my entire team. And I might do a tutorial on what I'm thinking of when I'm building teams and what's going through my mind, and maybe do that for people, because I know when I started, I had a lot of trouble building teams, and it's really hard, but I also didn't want to copy other people's teams, because I wanted to win with my own teams. So with that, I hope you enjoyed my team overview, what I was thinking, what was going on there, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like, maybe subscribe if you like it so much to stay through this whole thing. If you stayed through this whole thing, say something like Rhyperier's a monster. Say I heart Rhyperior if you made it this far in. So I hope you enjoy, and bye if I can get the right hotkeys. Bye!